Portland, Oregon is known for being unique. Its unofficial slogan is "Keep Portland Weird." And it quite possibly got weirder when the state began a first-of-its-kind experiment.
I remember hearing as an outsider that here they had passed a law that legalized possession of heroin, all kinds of hard drugs.
It was an extreme idea that had a significant impact upon our community. We saw public use just explode in our city.
What's your view on the change in the law?
It's the worst thing that's ever happened to this country.
This week, the outcome of a failed experiment and possible lessons for the rest of the country.
Last month, President Trump returned to North Carolina to follow up on a campaign promise.
Today, here I am to deliver on that promise.
This week, we are on the ground in the hurricane-wrecked region to see what difference a few weeks and a new president makes.
Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. The U.S. is mired in a years-long nightmare of record drug use and overdose deaths, killing well over 100,000 people a year and costing taxpayers in terms of crime, law enforcement, homelessness, and prison. Today we look at a first-of-its-kind experiment that tried to provide a unique solution. Oregon passed a law called Measure 110. It decriminalized the use of hard drugs, including fentanyl. What could go wrong? Well, the state found out, and after a tumultuous 3 years, they not only rescinded the law, but booted a soft-on-crime prosecutor in Portland. Today, we head to Oregon to find out what this could say about national trends.
Parts of Portland, Oregon are notorious for public drug use and overdoses, harboring countless sad stories and breeding crime.
2 people just got blam.
Believe it or not, a few years ago, Oregon voters approved a first-of-its-kind law, Measure 110, to decriminalize all hard drugs, including cocaine, meth, and opioids like heroin and fentanyl. The idea to shift the focus to treatment. But after 3 disastrous years, the Democrat-controlled state legislature reversed the law.
The end of Oregon's experiment with hard drugs signals a deeper change in voter sentiment, an apparent acknowledgement that so-called soft-on-crime policies have failed.
Voters also booted Mike Schmidt, the once popular district attorney in Multnomah County. Portland's the county seat. Schmidt was among dozens of prosecutors around the U.S. accused of being soft on crime, originally elected with money from liberal billionaire George Soros. Nathan Vasquez is the new DA in town. We recently caught up with him his first week on the job.
What has happened to the crime rates or the crime statistics in this area over the past 5-10 years?
Well, it certainly had a dramatic spike, and that was in the 2022 to 2023 range. When we're talking about our homicide rates, we went from averaging about 20 to 30 homicides in the city of Portland to over 100. So we saw some really dramatic increases.
Are there any digestible, simple ways you can explain some of the changes that happened and what the net effect was?
Yeah, there was certainly a defund the police movement.
Defund the Police came to Portland after major protests in 2020, sparked by the murder of George Floyd, a black felon who died while a white police officer restrained him with a knee to the neck. The officer was convicted of murder.
There was really just an outright campaign to discourage police from even coming here, and we saw dramatic drops in our numbers of law enforcement officers. We saw some dramatic changes around our drug laws, and those things combined with some others really affected kind of the day in, day out work in the criminal justice system.
I remember hearing as an outsider that Here they had passed a law that legalized possession of heroin, all kinds of hard drugs.
This was brought from kind of an outside think tank group from the East Coast. And it was an extreme idea that had a significant impact upon our community.
Did a lot more people, do you think, begin carrying and using these hard drugs?
Well, we saw a few different things, and certainly that was one of them. We saw people coming from outside of our state to be here for that purpose. And we saw, just sadly, skyrocketing rates of overdose deaths. We saw public use just explode in our city.
Overdose deaths in Oregon shot up from 696 in 2020 to more than 1,800 in 2023.
This is a liberal or progressive community overall, correct?
Very.
Do you think the community here favored trying these things, but as a whole have decided they didn't work?
It was packaged that, it was going to provide all this treatment and it was going to do all these wonderful things, and unfortunately it failed to deliver on those.
It's opium. It's not going to do things that are...
Aaron Schmautz heads up the Portland Police Association. He says the job of policing became exponentially harder in 2020.
I do think it's important to say that it wasn't just because of Measure 110. Fentanyl is a force multiplier. All of the economic kind of downturn and issues that came from 2020 led to a lot of just more people on the streets, all these things. And so just at every level, white collar crime, property crime, insurance rates in the downtown core have gone absolutely through the roof.
We also wanted to hear from some of the people suffering from drug addiction. For that, we went to Fora Health Treatment and Recovery in Portland, where it's dinner time.
Thank you.
The head of the treatment center, Devarshi Bajpai, spoke with us about Measure 110.
It implies that there's societal approval for drug use, which I think is not what we want the message to be.
Yet he doesn't see Measure 110 as a big factor in Portland's problems. Annie Otis says Measure 110 and its repeal did factor into her addiction and decision to get help.
Did the lax drug law that made it decriminalized to possess hard drugs make a difference to you and make it easier for you to use or more likely to use?
Absolutely.
What was your thought process?
My thought process was that, it was really easy to keep doing what I was doing. I probably would have continued on the same path, because there just wasn't a lot of consequences for a while.
What's your view on the change in the law?
Fentanyl should absolutely not be legal. It hurts people. It's a killer. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to this country. And no, it should absolutely not be legal.
Anthony Morris also says Measure 110 gave him a mindset that made it easier to use hard drugs.
At the time when drugs in here in Portland, Oregon were open, it made me think and feel that I can use more. It's everywhere, it's okay to use. So that made me in my mind to think, this is fine. Everybody's doing it. And now that the laws are back to where it's not legal, it makes me feel like it's not okay, because whatever the state does, I believe it makes people think that things are okay, just like myself. So honestly, I think it's better that they don't.
It may be too soon to know if there will be big changes in Portland now that hard drugs are illegal again and there's a tougher on-crime prosecutor at the helm.
It can be.
But Vasquez has seen at least one big difference.
Well, in 2016, when Trump was elected, we saw, 4 days of riots here in Portland. There was fires, arsons, there was the whole gamut. So, in this past November, I think everyone in the city was kind of holding their collective breath and getting ready to see what was going to happen. And we prepared. We got ready.
So you did some very conscious messaging.
Oh, yes. I went and visited every single roll call, and I talked to every single police officer. I looked him in the eye and said, we're going in a different direction. We're going to do things differently.
And were there no protests?
There weren't. It was shocking. I've tried to be very clear. It is not going to be tolerated.
When you look at the next 4 years, what would you consider a measure of success for you?
Well, definitely seeing our homicide rates come down, seeing public use of these hard drugs, see that change, and to see a dramatic drop in our overdose deaths. Those are all things that, are very real examples of, what I would like to see. As a whole, I want this community to feel safe.
According to reports, billionaire George Soros spent at least $50 million to elect scores of social justice prosecutors across the country. At least 21 have since been recalled, replaced, or voted out.